Let me put it into a presenter view. Basically, what TheShareWay is we are a directory of companies that donate food and raffle items. And how we got into doing this type of work, and I think a lot of you will probably resonate with this, is most of our users are using TheShareWay to find food and raffle items for events that they have coming up. The most common one is galas and fundraisers, but they also use it for like volunteer appreciation events, happy hour networking events for their nonprofits, 5K, 10K runs. So all types of events is the most common use case. And what's been really difficult about getting food and product donors for these events is one we've heard over and over again that nonprofits are often knocking on the wrong door. So like today, you want to get gift cards or you want to get burritos and like appetizers for your events, you will usually go out to the community, go door to door to different stores and ask them if they donate things to nonprofits. And most of them will say, oh, we don't donate, or like you have to talk to this other person. It takes a lot of time. And a lot of the times you're getting a no, or like, we don't do this type of work. The second one is nonprofits are oftentimes contacting the same donors every year. Basically, there's a list that gets passed on year to year. Like I contact this batch of 20 people, this is my list, contact them again this year, so you don't really get a refresh of who else can you reach out to. And what we found is tons of donors actually donate. 90% of restaurants donate. And there's a lot more opportunities than like what you normally would think of. Third, response rates from donors aren't always the highest, especially if it's a cold outreach. So it could feel tiresome and frustrating sometimes not hearing back. And lastly, spending a lot of time on this. I know a lot of nonprofits that have a whole outreach or sponsorship team of like 5 volunteers and everyone is contacting 10 or 20 people. And it could take upwards of 40, 80 hours just to secure these items for an event. And so this is the stuff that we're hearing. And the reason I got into this is because I had to solicit donations myself for my nonprofit in the past. So I have the experience of going door to door, cold calling, sending emails. So I know how painful this process is. Yeah, and then what we are trying to do here is we're building the largest directory of product donors powered by ratings and reviews. The ratings and reviews piece is super critical because today we get these ratings and reviews from the users on our site. So we know who is responsive and who is not, and who is donating, so that we can steer nonprofits towards contacting the right people. So you're no longer contacting people who are not responsive or who don't donate. I want to pause and see if there's any questions so far. Okay. Moving on quickly, just like where are we at? What is our impact today before we get into the demo? There are over 5,000 nonprofits and schools. So PTAs and school clubs use our sites for fundraisers as well. Over 5,000 using our site, our directory across the US. We get over 70 donations and matches approved every single week. And this number is growing because every week we're getting more users on our site. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the month, it's like 100+ approved donations every single week. We have over 500 donor reviews. And again, this number is continuously growing because we are getting more users on our site as well. And lastly, the directory is not static. We add 10 new donors every week to the directory. So it's a continuously growing list. We have about 600 donors cataloged today, and we are barely scratching the surface of how many donors donate across the US. So we're constantly adding to this list. Great, so now I'm gonna dive into the site for how to use TheShareWay to find product donations for your events. So once you log in, you're gonna see this list, and this is a directory of all the product donors we have in our database. The first thing that I would do that's super critical is this list is pretty long, so it's not the best to just start going down the list. You're gonna like, it'll take forever just to see everything. So it's very important that you start by filtering and narrowing down to the donors that are relevant to your event and your cause. So what I would do next is on this event dropdown, I would create an event. So let's just say we have a spring gala coming up on June 30th. And I'm gonna put I'm looking for raffle items and maybe some desserts for my gala. And the event is in California, in the Bay Area. So once I create an event, the data I had put into that event detail just now populates some of these filters. So you'll see that for products, raffle items and desserts, and it picked up my event date and told the system like, hey, my event is in 89 days from now. So don't show me any donors whose application deadline has already passed. Some donors, believe it or not, have deadlines as early as 4 months or 6 months before the event. So we automatically filtered those out already. So you're not looking at the wrong donors. And then the very important piece is it shows me donors that donate in California and San Francisco. The location piece is actually super important because not every donor is a national donor. And we have donors across all 50 states. So it's very important to create an event so that you can filter by location. I want to pause and see if there are any questions so far. Okay, cool. And before we start looking at the list, I want to call your attention to this filter. This is a way for you to further drill down to donors that match your criteria. If at any time you feel like, oh, I also want to look at alcohol, you could add this in. If you like to just look at one category at a time, you can unfilter and just look at raffle items or just look at alcohol. You know, like I know sometimes this is easier on the brain to be looking at one category at a time. So I'm going to revert back to raffle and desserts. Some donors specify the types of nonprofits or causes they like to align themselves towards. So like if your environment and sustainability, you could check this and you could kind of see the ones who are interested in partnering with environmental and sustainability orgs. If you do have a cause that match here, I would start with this list. And once you're done, I will actually unfilter it and go through the rest so that you have a lot more options. But you're starting with the ones that are most relevant first, because there are several companies that don't specify any preferences. So they donate across the board. Application method. Some people don't have online applications. You have to visit in person or call them. So this is a way for you to filter down to the method that you want. We have users who like have a day job, right? And they can only do people who with online applications, it saves them time and they do it in between work, you know, just to get in because we know how many people are doing this out of goodwill and during their free time and they're very busy with a full-time job as well. So this is something that can help you drill down. Shipping, basically, if you don't have the bandwidth to pick up stuff from around your area, you could choose companies that ship their items so you don't have to worry about any logistics. This is something you could change. You could change to 120 days if you want to see further out. But the standard way is it picks up your event data and pre-fills it. We do have some users who are not a 501c3. So if you're not, it's very important to toggle this on because a lot of companies require that you are a nonprofit in order to apply. So like right now, the list is 330. If you toggle this, only less than half of them donate to people who are not nonprofits. But most of you, I think all of you guys are nonprofits, so shouldn't need to worry about that. And then lastly, going back to my point about how our list is continuously growing, there is a filter for show donors we added in the last 2 months. So this way, if you're looking at this every week, this is a quick way for you to just, okay, I only need to look at the net new. If you toggle this on, you can see the people we've recently added. Great. Any questions about any filters so far? Cool. So then once you set your criteria, next is to start to filter and bookmark the donors whom you think could be a really good fit. So what I would do is then start to look through those lists, look at what they donate, what they prefer. Here you could even get like kind of like a preview of what the company does. So everyone knows Chipotle, so you may not need tips, but for more obscure companies, you could like look at what they do and get some details. If you want more details, you could click into this and look at the detail page. And here we have a lot more details and reviews about the company. And for ones that you like, simply click Save to Event. And that will save this donor to this event you have. And later on, I will show you how you can go to the apply mode to track your application. So I'm going to save a couple of them. And another item to note is here we show you how many days before the donor deadline is up. So a lot of them, as I think Chipotle is at like 6 weeks or something for their application advance time. So you want to make sure if something is like 7 days, right? That's something you want to make sure you apply to right away. Great. So let me save a couple. And now I want to see the ones I've saved and start applying to them. So you would toggle over to apply mode, and these are all the donors you have saved just now. And what I would typically do is start looking at the ones that have deadlines within a week and just get those in and out of the way. So let's just say Chipotle. So now I've saved this. I want to look at the details if this is what I want to apply to. So here we kind of show you where do they donate. This Chipotle is a national company, so they donate in all states except for Alaska and Hawaii. How to apply is online. We've embedded the form here from Chipotle's site, what they donate and what their preferences are. And Chipotle is a super donor on our site, and you can see by the number of reviews from our users. So you could take a look at that. And you can look at more details on the actual Chipotle site. And if you fit their eligibility, you can go ahead and start the application and fill this out. If you want more information, we have these quick links, outlinks. So this takes you to the chipotle.com website. And here takes you to their application page, which is the same as what we've embedded. But if for some reason, this is not loading or internet connection issues, you can always reference the link below and go straight to this page on their website. So let's just say I filled all of this out and I sent the application in. What I can then do is I applied on April 1st and I can move this to applied. And that line item moves to this, which is applied. And it makes it easy for you to track who you've applied to and where things are at. And let me dive into a little bit about each of these columns. So we know that a lot of times multiple team members are working on securing items together. So here you can put in people's name for the ones that they're assigned to, so that people aren't overlapping who they're contacting. And you can share this ShareWay login with other team members so people can log into the same account and work on the ones that they're assigned to. And if there are specific things that you requested in your application to the donor, you could put in here, I requested gift cards. Here I requested gift cards, and maybe here jewelry. And date applied, it's when you actually apply. So I won't fill that out right now since these are still pending. And any notes, like maybe in your application process, they'll say like, oh, we typically respond within 2 weeks. So you could write things like should hear back in 2 weeks. Or if they have specific criteria you want to make a note of, like needs to be picked up, so that you have that note. And you can write whatever you need in here to help track anything. So let me just move one more thing over to applied. So we have a couple. And then once you hear back, approved or declined, what you can do is like, they'll typically email you like, okay, they approved this request. I'm going to move this to approved. And let's say Oriental declined it, you can move this to decline. And when you actually receive the product itself, you can also move the status to received. And we also have one more status called archived. So let's say you don't think this is a good fit anymore and you want to clear it out of your list, you could note that, hey, this is archived. Like, don't worry about this. We don't care about this anymore. Two other features that's super helpful on this page is you can also add your own donors. So let's say locally there is, I know in San Francisco, there's like Buy Right ice cream and it's like right across the street from your house and you know they donate, or you're really close to the owner, and you apply to them and you can just put in the link you have access to, and add your own donor, and it'll show up right here. And you can use this the same way as the other donors on the TheShareWay site, and you can track it here as well. And lastly, you can also download all of this data if you want to export it into your own like CRM or another spreadsheet that you might be working on. So once you download it, we give you a CSV. You guys don't see the CSV, right?
No.
Okay. It's because I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll have to reshare another screen to show you guys, but it's a CSV of all the records in here. Yeah, any questions about this so far? Great. And I'll just show you another view like Fogo de Chao, La Colombe. So here they don't donate in all states. So like you will want to look for if they donate in the state you're in or your event is in. And again, here's the donation request form. La Colombe is a coffee, and here you could see more donation info. Yeah. And if at any point your event date has changed, you can go up here and edit your event and update the date, or if there's the location has changed, you can update that. Yeah, so any questions about how to navigate the site before I get into best practices?
No, I'll have to work on it before I can decide if I have any questions. I have to do it myself.
Totally. And feel free to email me afterwards if you get stuck anywhere.
Okay.
It looks relatively intuitive, Hannah. It looks like you've done a great job. The fact that you can put your own donors in keeps everything in one central place, which is helpful. And also you can have your teams work on it. You know, this is, I think, an excellent resource, and I'm excited to share it. I don't know if this question is appropriate, but on your dates, how accurate are, like, I've already shared your site with a party that is having a fundraiser in 50 days. So we're on a short fuse. And if you got something that says that they need 45 days and you're 47 days, can we expect to have those gift cards or whatever by that deadline if they are accepted, or is the 45 days for just accepting the
45 days is for when you need to submit the applications by. So I think if you're a few days off, it really depends on the donor. So I would look at the donor's website. Sometimes they block you. They don't actually allow you to submit anything. And sometimes it will still go through. And if the application is pretty short, it wouldn't hurt to just like submit it, because I assume you already have all the info, you're just copying and pasting into the form. So if it's a few days off, I would look at the vendor site and submit it if it's not a long process.
I'm not, we're not afraid of the work. We're just concerned that, I guess I'm still not clear. It's 45 days to get the application approved, or you have 45 days to make the application.
To make the application.
All right, so for 50 days out, and we make the application, there's still some downtime to receive the goods. So if you're having an event, you may have a commitment of a gift card, but you may not physically have it. Is that correct? I mean, it's got to take some time to acquire the actual gift card.
It is possible, yeah. So, and usually like they should typically respond within anywhere like 1 to 3 weeks. So if you're 50 days out and you've applied, like it should generally be fine. So, but very few donors actually tell us their response time. So it's a little bit hard to say.
All right, we'll have to play with it, like Shirley says. We'll have to experience it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So next, I want to go through a couple best practices. Can't emphasize enough, start early. Try to start 2 to 3 months before your event date. 50% of the company's donations applications deadline is 6 weeks or longer before the event date. Especially if you want like the most branded donors, like those are like Cliff Bar, right? Like the bigger the brand, sometimes the longer the lead time. So try to start 2 to 3 months before your event date. If it's after, I would say like starting a month out still okay, but when you get below the 1 month mark, it's like really crunch time, and your options are a lot smaller. Next, try to always use the feature of creating an event and saving at least 5 donors to that event. And what that does is once you've saved 5 donors, we have a automated notification system where we send you an email once a week where we will remind you of the deadlines of your saved donors. And we also recommend you donors to apply to that you may not have saved. So you'll get that like weekly email notification of whose deadline is coming up. And you only get that if you've created an event and have saved a few donors. Next, super important to use these filters to narrow the list down. And another really important one is every week we send you a newsletter. And this newsletter has a list of the new donors we've added that week. And we also tell you who donated from our like members applications. So we'll say like Chipotle, 5 nonprofits received donations this week. So I would start there because usually if a donor has approved someone else, it means they're actively going through their applications. And if you submit it right away, there's a good chance they might just see it this week because they're very active on their like process this week, because not all donors check their applications every single week. So some weeks might be more dead. So definitely reference that newsletter and apply to the people who have already approved. And then next one is have the right expectations. So what I mean by this is our from what I've heard from talking to our users, response rates from donors is typically at around 10% today. So you want to try to apply to a lot of donors versus like, I'm only going to apply to 5, the people who get the most donations submitted a lot of applications. And our system is going to get better over time, the more time we have. So like in the future, we do want to display like super donor response rates on here. We're still aggregating that data before we can show that response rate. So I would say for now, try to apply to at least 10, 20, 30 donors, because response rate is at about 10% right now. But in the future, we're going to be able to steer you to the most responsive ones over time. And lastly, check out our blog. There's a lot of great resources. We have lists by category, like coffee, Chick-fil-A list, jewelry, raffle prizes. So this is a really good list to just kind of find a short list of donors to apply to. We also have templates. So if you need a donation request form or letter, you could check it out here. So there's a lot of great resources on our blog to check out. Yeah, I think that is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions I can help answer?
No, I appreciate knowing that that deadline that you put in there, that's really the application. In other words, you have that many days to get your application in. I thought it took that many days before they shipped your items to you once you applied. So basically it's the time to get your application in. So
Yeah.
I thank you for that question that was asked. I appreciate that.
Great.
Anna, can you talk more about the different types of memberships? Do you offer one membership? Is there different levels? I didn't see that information when I was going through your site.
Yeah, so this is our pricing page. And basically we have two plans. The free plan, which probably most of you are on right now, you can view 5 donor detail pages per month. So you could use a directory and like view 5 of these pages a month. But on the free plan, you can search, you could use apply mode, like all of this is available on the free plan as well. It just, if you're on the 6th company, you will be blocked out and not be able to view it. On the pro plan, you get unlimited access to company page views, donor page views. And we have a huge discount for your first month so that you could try it and see if you like it. It's $9 for your first month. After that is $59 a month. We will, if you have events, multiple events a year, we will be coming out with an annual plan soon, which is a lot lower than the monthly price. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Is the pro plan monthly? Is there a contract on that? Is it a 12-month contract, a 3-month contract? Cancel anytime? How does that work?
You can cancel anytime before your next invoice date.
Okay.
Yeah.
When might we be able to get a copy of this this presentation? You're recording it. Is that something you can share with us?
Yeah, I can share this out afterwards. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you. What a great presentation and great program that you guys have happening.
Thank you. I hope this has been helpful. And this is not on our site yet. Our goal is to make this as accessible to as many nonprofits as we can. And we understand some nonprofits are very tight on their budget. So what we are going to start offering and put on our site soon is if you link to our webpage on your nonprofit's website, a social media post, or on your event page, we can give you 1 month off of the pro plan. You just have to email us with a link to the page where you've like linked to the ShareWay, and we'd be happy to share that discount. Cool. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm also going to stop recording.